And then you took a dive. You and I.
All right.
What do it?
Welcome to CDR. I am Bryn. This is Matt, and this is where we give our very unprofessional opinions about music that we've been listening to all week. This week has been Charli XCX with her fourth album being...
How I'm feeling now.
How are you feeling now after doing a marathon, Matthew?
Tired. I'm very happy that you were the one who set up the podcast today, and I didn't have to help very much.
You're most very welcome. You deserve that beer too.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is the fourth album, 11 tracks running for 37 minutes, only coming out 8 months after her previous album, Charli, and the Cambridge-born Essex-raised girl who started dropping music on her MySpace in 2008 when she was about 14, got picked up by a couple of producers to go do some acts in raves or factory raves in England, signed to Asylum Records in 2010, did a bunch of singles and mixes through 11 and 12. She's collaborated with Icona Pop with I Love It. That's where she kind of became her international. That was her international song. True Romance was her first album in 2013. 2014, Boom Clap was her first single to make it in the top 10 internationally. She's co-written with will.i.am, Selena Gomez, and Blondie, a whole bunch more. And she's got another album coming out this year. Yes, another album coming out this year or early next year. This is insane. I never thought I would have listened to an electronic pop before. She collaborated with some of her fans, which is super interesting. I don't know how she did it, but that's awesome. Matt, how was your week?
Well, given I chose it, I did have some inkling as to what this album was going to be like. Admittedly, I only had listened to the first 3 tracks, so my hype levels were pretty high going into it.
You would be pretty hype after the first 3, for sure.
I enjoyed my week with it. It was easy to listen to, whilst also having a ton of interest electronically throughout the course of the album. Nothing ever really stays the same in a way that I really enjoyed. So every listen, there was something else that I was finding in the mix that I was, drawn to. So yeah, the week went quickly. Aside from the run yesterday, it's a good. I enjoyed my time with it. It was great. What about you?
Start of the week, I don't feel like I gave it enough of my attention.
Mm-hmm.
It's only in the last couple of days, and this is the thing when you live with an album for a week. It does tend to grow on you, or you end up finding things that you didn't hear the first time that you kind of kick yourself for, going, oh, this really deserves more appreciation as time goes by.
But when you say that, like, it grows on you, it can grow on you in a bad way too.
Yes.
Like, there are albums that I remember just hating more and more we listened to it. But I'm guessing you had a fairly positive experience with Charli.
The last couple of days, the same as you, I was picking things out, I was hearing more. It was almost like seeing layers into layers in this album, and it's full of layers, more things from keyboards to what sounds like singing or like
really interesting vocal modulation throughout, a ton of aggressive synths, real abrasive sounds. Like, just think about how abrasive some of the sounds are, and then reconcile that with the fact that this is first and foremost a pop album, right? Like, I mean, the intro track, for instance, imagine that was the first Charli XCX song that you'd ever heard, and it was nearly my first until I remembered that, Boom Clap basically was everywhere on the planet, and obviously I'd heard that. But this was the first song I heard on the album, and it was just like...
Yes. Yes. It was... The first song is epic. It's awesome. And first of all, it just goes hard. It does.
Yes. She's a pink diamond in the dark.
Just wants to go real hard. Oh my God. I loved it.
Yeah.
Couldn't get over it. Towards the end of the day, I think I listened to it 3 times a day. I was just trying to pick more and more from it, but it's just a sick song. I always wanted to go back to Pink Diamond, and I was happy to press play again just to hear that.
Yeah. This This one ended up being my favorite track on the album.
Yep.
And this was the track that made me chose the album. So Tony showed it to me. And I was just like, this is awesome. Like, are you sure that this is like Charlie XCX? This is Boom Clap. This is the chick who did Boom Clap. This is awesome. It's abrasive. It never does the same thing through any section of the song. And just when you think it isn't going to be interestingly abrasive any further, it then finds a new way to just smack you across the head. It's such a good song.
It's so good. Even the lyrics I thought was a bit good. Chaotic and manic towards in all sections of it, but there's always just these snips of it as it comes along. You get used to one part and then bam, she just hits you again. It's like fighting Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Lasers are shooting off everywhere. Bombs are going off. Oh, it really does push your ears to the limits. And you enjoy every second of it.
Yeah.
It's a bit of experimental that went right.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I hope she does more like this in the future.
Yep.
I would love to hear an album of aggression from Charlie XCX. Like, I always, the meme is that I like a bit of teeth in my song, and this
has
song
got teeth.
had razor sharp fangs.
This is so good. I even wrote down next to it at the part where it goes warp warp a bit of doom. It sounds to me when it goes warp warp a bit of doom. It's like a final boss scene for me.
Oh yeah, I mean,
just that doomsday coming down on you.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Yeah, very foreboding synths throughout. What do you think of the next track?
Forever.
Yep.
Once I read into this album, things started to make more sense as I go along. So we should do a little bit more backstory to the album. She finished it within 6 weeks, and because of the pandemic, her 7-year boyfriend that had been, both living on the opposite side of the world, him in England, she in America, flying back and forth, they finally had time to be with each other and were stuck with each other. So he's pretty much mentioned throughout the whole album,
yes,
except for major ones where it's "Party for You" is not mentioned. A bunch of other ones, which would be, what's the second last one that you like? Anthems, which is just singing to get fucked up in the pandemic, but she can't, so she's all around her invisible friends.
Yep.
So 6 weeks it took her to make this. Being with a boyfriend, getting a lot of shout outs in this, even the therapist that she was put in this as well. So there's a lot of reference about that. Enemy is related to the boyfriend as well, and Forever is related to the boyfriend. But as soon as this starts up, I kind of just, all I could hear for a long time was just auto-tune singing. And I do have a thing about just being really unhappy with auto-tune singing.
So the problem is, given she's going for a fusion of pop and more interesting electronic music, the auto-tune becomes a suitable weapon for giving really good accents and flavor to the prevailing synthetic tones throughout. So I end up more than happily forgiving the auto-tune.
Because it was for effect.
It is absolutely for effect.
And we know she can sing further down in the track anyway, because she does show off that she has got quite a good voice.
Yeah, and I think interestingly, you can actually have some interplay with that. There's a track later on, hopefully I remember to bring up the note, but there's a vocal line where it starts auto-tuned and phases into the natural vocal in a way that I found interesting. And you don't get that without the auto-tune in the first place. So I think the play with the electronics, with the song, and the manner in which she's singing works for me. I understand that if the entire album was auto-tuned, that would be a problem. But there are enough natural vox throughout that it's, I think, flavored conservatively and well. Let's put it that way.
Fair enough. I mean, there's a bunch of styles of singing that goes on in here. Low, high, just chipping in everything that she possibly can. And laying over the top, using repeated vocals for backing, which also morph into the electronics or into the keyboard, is pretty hectic. A bit of fuzzy or hazy sound effects throughout. There's always like someone's taken the windsock off their microphone.
Yeah. So I would say Forever, the vocals were very sugary. They're very
sugary. That's a first.
So the vocal line is very pleasant to listen to. When she sings it, I'm going to butcher it now. I will always love you. I'll love you forever. But like in the background, the backing vox are like, I will always love you. You know, going like kind of high and just, it's really sugary. It's kind of just really pleasant to the ear. I really quite enjoyed the fact that it was fleshed out in that way, especially given the fact that this song, I think, is more upbeat generally.
Yep.
It's not as foreboding as the first track.
No, but it kind of does. It worked well into the album and kept me interesting and quite happy, even though the two songs are very different and quite almost opposite for being in the same style. It was enough to say, oh, this album has a lot of flavor or interesting things to come along. This could be quite good. And it still doesn't even disappoint on the next track being Claws, which sci-fi, fat drum basses, chipmunks halfway through. And there was a section where it sounded like there was reverse singing or instruments going on.
So, this track's a funny one to me because as soon as I heard it, it immediately screamed to me that this would be the primary single from the album, right?
This had a start. So in my music platform that I listen to, there's stars that go against favorite songs.
Right.
This is one of them.
Yeah, makes sense.
What does yours have that, or is it like...
Nah, mine's
like a rating system?
Yeah, I there's no visual icons against the songs to really indicate what the prevailing public think.
Yeah.
Which is good. I don't care what anyone else thinks. I got to like the song, don't I?
I found that most of the time I don't like the ones that have stars next to them. There's so many hidden gems in albums that don't make it to the mainstream ears, and they're well and truly missing out. But this one is pretty good.
It's pretty fun. It's probably the poppiest track so far, I would say. But that doesn't mean that she doesn't, layer it with electric flair, right? There's tons of electronic movements that just really invite further exploration on each listen, which is always what kept me sort of going. Every single time you'd pick out some other artificial accent that you just weren't expecting to hear. It's great. I really quite like this track. And then there's a weird, there's like a pump up section towards the breakdown. Yeah,
a build up and like an implosion.
Yeah, it's for me, because I quite like Enter Shikari. It was straight out of their playbook, basically, which is to say, it's your standard like pump up club moment, and yeah, it's kind of fun. I quite liked it.
Yep, first 3 songs of the track of the album,
Big
amazing.
Tick.
Big tick. Claws is kind of a bit of a lovesick story as well, and is relating to her boyfriend or to finding someone that you really, really like. And I think Claws is a perfect name for it because she wants to dig her claws in just to hold this person in, but it's like not for real, just metaphorically.
Yeah.
And these, I think the titles of the songs are kind of clever and catchy when you get to know the songs and you realize, there's a bit of a fun wordplay in this.
And they're all stylized in lowercase as well, which is straight out of a Folklore's playbook.
All lowercases?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wrote them with capitals.
Oh, good on you. For me, I like the first 3 tracks. The next one, 7 Years, is probably the first bland note on
That's
the
where
album.
I fall off a little bit.
Yeah.
I fell off a little bit. I mean, I was bored for the first 30 seconds before it kind of really started. Soft, hardly even knew there was music through it. It's very focused on the singing, and it's almost like this faraway music that is there, but it's just kind of just out of earshot.
Yeah, I don't think there's as much interest in the track musically. I also think that it had the cringiest lyric. There's a line in it that's literally, "Oh yeah, it's really, 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 really nice." And every time I listen to that, it sticks out. I'm like, is it really nice? Is it really, really nice? Or is it really, 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 really nice?
You said that's the most what lyric?
Cringy.
Oh, cringy. Not one of the other ones that I was just like, oh, that's dirty and disgusting. Which was in Claws.
Oh, which was in Claws. What's the dirty and disgusting lyric?
I'm not shy, slip and slide up my thighs.
Yeah.
I missed the line in there, but that part I was just like, oh.
Yeah, but that's cringy in an interesting way. So,
yes.
I mean, I'll roll with it.
Yep. Funny enough, this is also very sexual through this.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's not
a pop
Megan
album, so.
the Stallion.
No, I mean, yeah,
Next level.
I'm completely desensitized to all that. So,
Detonate. First start off, I thought there was like a ticking time bomb in there, but more of an alarm clock going off.
Yeah, the bomb ticks are definitely there. At about 2 minutes 20, they start to tick in.
They tick in again. Well, that's when they tick, but the first start sounded like an alarm going off.
Yeah.
You know, originally this was sped up, and they slowed down this song.
Yeah, I'm pretty glad they did slow it down. I quite like the vibe that this song gives. It's meant to be like your standard anxiety song where you're just not really sure about yourself.
Yep.
I think the wordplay in the chorus is clever. So the previous song probably had my least favorite lyric. This song has my favorite lyrics.
Which is?
Dirty, I can talk dirty. I can make you feel so sick, switch your faith and leave you so low. It's like it flips the connotation of what talking dirty might mean, right? I quite liked it. I thought it was interesting.
I did not put those 3 lines together.
No? Dirty, I can talk dirty. I can make you feel so sick is the following line. I'm just like, oh wait, you're not talking about sexy talk. You're talking about mental angst talk. And I like that.
Fair enough. Enemy, which is a song about pretty much your closest person in your life becoming an enemy. I enjoyed this. This was a little bit more chilled. The higher notes gave it that pop of spice. And the audio in the middle is her own video that she self-records after her therapy sessions, and kind of, I guess, you wanted to put that in there to give a bit of personal touch to it. I think it's a good touch.
I didn't really like this track.
No?
It was okay. It kind of sounded like a 90s track that got the Charlie XCX treatment with, okay, let's just shove some electronics in it and be done with it. I don't mind the sentiment, the person that you're stuck with becoming your enemy at some point, especially given we all know this is a COVID album. And it has some interesting auto-tune flourishes, I guess. But yeah, this one's a skip for me.
Well, next one's a skip for me. I finally understand. This was more late 90s electronics for me. I think the only part I really liked was the last 5 seconds.
Yeah, I like the bass line. I think the bass line is straight out of the Gorillaz handbook. It has like a Feel Good Inc. vibe to it that I don't mind. But I mean, generally speaking, this probably isn't one of the stronger tracks. I don't think it's one of the worst. I really like the way that the singing in the chorus is really stuttered, electronically stuttered, in a way that I think is really kind of cool. It's a little bit more lo-fi. And yeah, I vibe the pop electronic mix in this one. But I mean, it's not the strongest track. I'll concede that, absolutely.
C 2.0, which is real name is Click version 2. Click being a song from the album 8 months earlier on Charlie, which is named Click.
Click, click, click.
Just had to do it. Maybe it's for a performance reason. I don't know. The broken intro, I don't know what it is about it. I thought that was cool. I thought it was really, really cool. And then the singing is mostly a sped up version with moments of just this normal singing. It goes fast and then it goes a little bit slow. The annoying part is a click, 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 click. And the first half of this song, she is singing in the auto tune, and then it completely switches to her amazing, beautiful singing voice. And then the clapping is kind of makes you forget that click, 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 click is still running through this whole song.
Yeah, it becomes the base of the track.
Yep.
And you sort of disassociate the fact that she's going click, 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 click the whole time. I'm probably not a fan of it. It does have some interest to me, but I felt like the track construction was a little bit gimmicky for mine. I like them breaking the track apart, but the clicks just went probably a bit too long. I lost interest. And the bass line when it comes in is just, straight out of Fancy by Iggy Azalea. And there's that one Tay-Tay group vocal, hey, that comes in. And I'm just like, it's a little bit meh. Hopefully, why would you make a second version? What was the original click like?
I had to listen, and didn't have enough time to really put the two together.
Okay. Yeah,
but
well, this is a miss for me, I think.
Yeah, it's a bit of a miss. The part I wrote down that I did enjoy was there was when she goes rainbow. There's like this shining pew that happens in the background. I was like, that was a fun effect. Skip,
shiny,
party for you,
party for you,
party for you.
I think the bass on this track hits like a freight train, and then it gets distorted towards the end when it's basically the feature musically, and it's just this thong, 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 thong. It just smacks through the track, right? Just these big punchy sounds, and there are some really, I think there are some interesting chord progression change ups that fall outside of the scope of what I would consider pop. There's like this the chord progression is there are 4 chords in it, and the 4th chord that in the chorus changes. There's one that's like this real sort of not dissonant, but it's sort of a bit flowery. It mixes in well, and then like on the second repetition through, it's this real angsty, augmented type chord that leads into the next repetition. It's just not something that I hear a ton in pop music, is play with chord progression. Usually you get the Axis of Awesome chord progression shoved in there at some point. There was none of that. This is interesting to me. I really thoroughly enjoyed the fact that they would play around with chord progression in what's effectively an electronic track. I know you don't really like this song too much.
This song is about throwing a party for someone you want to turn up, and they never do, and they're disappointed. And throughout this song, I thought she was going to drop a bass or some sort of heavy track, but just like the person that never turned up to the party, just disappointed all the way through.
You wanted the Techers.
I did, but then it wouldn't have fit the song.
Correct.
At all. So it's perfect the way she did it. So once I put my own personal feelings aside, I can appreciate how good this really is. I mean, yeah, the scales at the start, and then what sounded to me like was the floor tom, just giving a boom, boom, boom coming through in the midsection. I thought it sounded like a bit of a Mario Party scene was happening. People are hitting like metal on the side. There's like these little things I hear throughout. It's just like bang, bang, bang. And then, I just always thought it was going to break loose, and it never did. And it's actually quite perfect for how the song is structured and the lyrics to it. They were a perfect pair.
Okay.
Understandably well done. Put feelings aside. It's great. Anthem. Who wants to fucking party?
Well, this is where
the party starts.
Yeah, this is where the beats come. This is a balls to the wall electronic track.
Fuck, they're like the fast typing notes at the start that just get you really, and you're like, it's like a fart. Your heart's beating. It's trying to catch up with this fast pace, like, shit.
And I really like the way that her vocals in the chorus are kind of, they heighten that feeling. It's I want anthems, late night, my friends, New York. It comes in just like
bang,
really with the
bang.
track, and it's high energy. It's a good track all around, I reckon.
Yeah, dropping bombs in the chorus is all I wrote for this. This is sick.
Yeah, banging track,
straight up. Come to what I liked, probably in my second favorite song. Matthew, read that for everyone.
Rave Party MF.
Motherfuckers. This is a rave song, and it takes a while before you hit that part where it just pretty much goes all feral.
Yeah. And
I think this is a great way to end the whole album, really. Getting back to our roots with a little bit of rave. Come out here in Australia, it's called a bush doof.
Great, yep.
Good times.
So I think where like C 2.0 was gimmicky, the track construction for Visions basically follows like what to my ear sounds like a 3-act narrative. It's a bit lower key at the start, then it bashes you in the face with the most like full bush doof, as you put it, before devolving into angsty, aggressive noise electronics at the very end to end the album. I think the progression there is far more interesting to me than, say, C 2.0.
Yep.
And my favorite part about this track, aside from the bush doof part, obviously.
Oh, the horror scene.
Oh, the horror scene at the very end.
The horror scene, we got the horror screech coming in, and
the
then
psycho knife.
What do you got?
The fact that after the first chorus, the beat doesn't drop.
It fades off into the stratosphere.
It gives you blue balls. It's just you were expecting it to drop then, and it just doesn't. And it doesn't just not drop; it just evaporates.
That's a perfect way to say it. And this is the scene in the club where someone jumps ready for that beat to drop, and they're just left hanging, looking like a dickhead.
Yeah, everyone just turns and laughs at him. But the thing is that the payoff then has to be good. When the beat does drop, it needs to fucking drop for 2 choruses worth, and it does. It is high octane when it does. It's nostalgic. It's full.
The floor becomes a slip and slide.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this track. I think there was. It's weird for me to say that a track this electronic I enjoy because I've just naturally not been drawn to it, but. This is great. This is a good track.
I never thought I would have liked a trap song, like just pulsating, this fast heartbeat bass. Who doesn't love a pumping bass?
Yeah, but this takes it to another level.
This really does.
It's real fleshed out, and I think the thing that sells me on it is it isn't how the album ends either. The ugliness of the electronics at the end is how the album ends, and I love that. It's just abrasive.
You love when it's possible that some people may be upset, but
I enjoy where the artist is taking a risk, going into a space that you know they probably shouldn't, but maybe the unexplored territory will reap something really interesting. And to have a track that starts off kind of light, then smashes you in the face with the biggest techers beats you'll hear, and then to end with something ugly. It's so interesting to me. I can't help but be drawn to it. And so I find myself really enjoying the steps of the process along the way. I really enjoy the bush doof part because it's bookended by these other interesting sections. I can allow myself to be like, yeah, this is sick, right? I couldn't just listen to that because it's devoid of interest to me, but in the context of the song, it's awesome.
Definitely, I think a lot more artists should try that last 10 seconds to just lose it.
Yeah.
Just go nuts. Try something new you've never heard before. That would be so unbelievably sick. Let's wrap this up.
Sounds good.
The electronic pop, experimental pop, hype, chilled throughout. It's not all club, so there's something in there for everyone if you want to enjoy some lyrics to it, or if you just want to hear some mad bangers in there, and what Matt would go bush doof. Don't know why.
What do you mean me? You're the one who brought that term.
I used your exclamation mark.
Okay, fine. You can use my finger quotes if you like. This album is more pop, but the electronic flares throughout are very prevalent. So it is, I think, a pop album first. Yep,
definitely. Give it a try. Have a listen. Matthew, your score, I'm going to say 7. You got to remember, it's your taste anyway where you put this into.
See, that's the thing, right? I'm constantly torn between how likely am I actually going to be to pick this album up and listen to it again. I don't think I would be that opposed if we were to chuck it on going for a car drive. Like it's an album that is very pleasing to listen to, and the fact that it has Pink Diamond on it is awesome.
It starts out right and it ends even better.
But yeah, this is a really good album. I'm probably going to give it a 7.5.
Boom. Excellent. Let us know what you thought. Send us some fun facts about the album or the artist. We'd love to find out a lot more. It's better for us. We might learn something.
Yeah, like anything.
Anything. That'd be great.
Please help us.
Please. We're desperate. I'm only joking. Next week's album.
Yeah, go ahead. What do we got?
We have a hip-hop album.
Okay. Oh, what one could it be?
What do you think it is?
Jeez. Let me think. Has there been any, really big hip hop albums dropped over the last 2 weeks by someone who might create albums.
Yeah. Well, who?
I don't know. I'm fresh out of ideas. Who is it?
Okay, it's Seth Century, and we're going with Super Cool Treehouse.
Oh, really?
Australian hip hop, bringing it back home. We've done rap, we've done R&B. Let's do some hip hop.
There's a literal fucking Tyler the Creator album that we could have listened to. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's got like 16 or 17 albums. It's long.
Pardon?
It's long. I don't want to go through it. I wanted to listen to Seth Century. I want to keep it home. If you want to do Tyler the Creator, you can do it.
Fucking hell.
No, I don't want to waste one of my albums. Anyway, thank you for watching this. We are CDR. We will catch you next time if you want to watch us. Bye. Oh, fuck this guy.